All right, you want to lose 30 pounds in 90 days? Yeah, I bet. Who doesn't? You want to do it, and you want it to be extremely easy. Of course. I can do this. I can make this happen. I can even show you. But the reality is, you know you, and I have a feeling I know you too. But anyway, welcome to Walk, Talk, Vent. Let's do this.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to check out Trainer Joe's 21-day transformation. I'm going to link Trainer Joe's channel in the description. I'll be quiet now. Let's hear what he has to say.
First, you need to understand you were made to eat, but you weren't made to overeat. You were made to consume food, not for food to consume you. We eat too much after satisfying our physical need for food. If you're trying to satisfy physical hunger, it doesn't take very much food. So we're eating for other reasons. I'm just kind of establishing some of the mindset that's going to help you. So keep these things in mind. And then the other thing, weight loss happens when we burn more than we consume. It doesn't take a lot of things to happen. It just takes for that to happen. You are burning more than you're consuming. You're not going to really, you need counseling, get counseling. I'm just telling you, this will do it. You may have to deal with some other issues you have in your life, but see, that's why we are where we are. We have issues. Who doesn't have issues? But if they're pulling you and putting you in a position where this is never important enough to do it, that's part of the problem. You're going to have to decide, I'm going to do this anyway, because your issues are always going to be there. So don't feel like, well, I'm going to wait till things are good, then I'm going to lose weight. Then
Hey, I really like that. I think some of us do say I need to get done with this situation I'm going through and then I'll contemplate dieting. I really like what Trainer Joe's saying here. You know, the best time to start exercising and going for a walk and doing things for your health is now. And then hopefully those other things that are problematic will get better.
you're never going to lose weight. So let's just decide this is something I need to do. Let's do it. A lot of times you're going to feel like, well, I need this much food. Well, get that out of your head. Obviously, if you got 100 pounds to lose, you've been eating for you plus another person for a long time. You're going to have to realize, I don't need to eat for that other person. You ready? You willing? Mindset's important. You have to realize the excess you've been eating over the years, you've been eating excessively. Not only is that unnecessary, it's like nicotine, right? There was never a need for that. You used it, you abused it. We're not going to do that for the next 6 months. Not only is excess unnecessary, but even you're going to have to get to where in your mind, enough is not even necessary. You don't need enough because enough for you is 100 pounds overweight. That was enough. And you probably still wanted more to eat. Who doesn't want more to eat? There's a reason you're not 300 pounds overweight, right? But people tend to not be satisfied. Let's get past that. Satisfaction in your eating is not a priority right now while we're losing weight especially. We can work on that later. Let me stop right there and say, if you're having health issues, I'm not a doctor. You may want to go to a doctor while you're doing this. Doctors around here, I get a lot of referrals from the doctors, but I'm not one, and you may need to see one while you're doing this because this is significant. This is challenging. This is not a little thing. Hey, you don't have just 8 pounds to lose. So we're addressing this, kind of hitting it here, and that's what it's going to require from you is a mindset change that you'll get if you'll just give yourself.
Okay, so far we've learned that we all need a doctor. Hopefully we're going to find out what we do here in a minute. Let's go. Come on, Trainer Joe.
To this. I'm giving you permission to do this. You need permission because in your mind it's not going to make sense. We're cynical. We've done it the wrong way so long. You're stuck in that. Allow me to disrupt that a little bit.
Okay, so when someone's going to give you permission, that's kind of a mild little, it's not hypnosis. It's a suggestion. For some reason, we're able to take it better when it's said like that. So just know, here comes the brainwashing, but in a good way.
Why wouldn't we lose 100 pounds, right? Food won't fix your problems. Food won't fix it. Start telling yourself that. And then the last thing, tell yourself it's worth it. You ready for the plan? Let's get right into it. 100 pounds in 6 months. How to do it? Well, to lose 100 pounds in 6 months, let's break it down and make this at least appear as simple as we possibly can make it. 100 pounds in 6 months would be 50 pounds in 3 months. 16.7 pounds per month is what you need to lose. 16.7 pounds a month or 3.8 pounds a week. Can you lose 3.8 pounds a week? Well, yeah, you can. Will you do what I'm telling you? That's going to happen. That ends up being 0.55 pounds a day, right at a half a pound a day. That doesn't happen in your sleep, y'all. You're going to have to do something, but it happens if you do these things. It will happen. You need a plan that you're going to be willing to stick with. So here's the plan that's going to work for you. Here's what I want you to eat every day. Now, if you're going to tell me, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, well, then go get another plan. I'm just telling you what to eat. If you've got a lot of preferences and a lot of pickiness, you're probably going to need another plan.
I love Trainer Joe. This guy's like the dudes I grew up with. I like this guy. Okay, now you got me. You got my attention now.
First thing, eat a large salad. All the veggies you want on it. Large salad with 6 ounces of grilled chicken or grilled salmon and a maximum of 30 calories worth of dressing. Okay, so that's going to be your primary food for the day. We're going to add to that, though, a hard-boiled egg and a bowl of plain oatmeal. You with me? And we're going to add to that a 1/4 cup of walnuts. We're going to add to that an apple. And finally, we're going to add a Quest bar. 1 Quest bar a day. So there's your day. I don't care when you eat it. You can eat it all for breakfast. You can eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can have it spread it out throughout the day. But that's your food for the day. By the end of this, in 6 months, you'll be 100 pounds down. If you have 100 pounds to lose,
So I know it doesn't seem like he's given us the goods, but he actually did track the math on this. If you do eat that, it probably will work. Thank goodness you don't have to lose 100 pounds, because who wants to eat plain oatmeal every day?
assuming that's the case. I want you to drink at least 100 ounces of water every day. You have the option of 2 cups of coffee a day if you like. You can sweeten it with stevia or monk fruit, and you can use skim milk or unsweetened almond milk for creamer. Use a serving of that. Don't put a cup of it in there. Two tablespoons to do this. So 2 cups of coffee would be fine, sweetened with stevia or monk fruit, and then you can have skim milk or unsweetened almond milk for your creamer, which would be 2 tablespoons of that. And then last thing would be, if you want a soft drink, you can have a can of Zevia soda each day if you like. It's optional. That's what's going to do it for you. Is that fun? Probably not, because when we compare that to what you've been eating, well, you eat enough for 2 people.
Oh my God, I love this guy. Okay, so check this out. He just gave you probably the best dieting advice that you won't take. He literally gives you permission to do this diet, which a lot of us need, right? We want to have the green light, right? He's playing the role of the authority, but he's letting you know he's not a doctor. If you have some emotional problems that are leading to your overeating, go see the doctor for it, not him. But he's literally giving you the diet that if you do eat that every single day, which you won't starve on that, that's legit food, right? You'll lose 100 pounds. He's done the math for us. So I think it's fascinating. Would I want to do this diet? No. But I'm in a spot where I can only lose about 30 pounds, right? You might be in a spot where you could lose 100. This diet won't be very fun, but he tells you it won't be very fun. You can't beat that.
Yeah, this will jar you. This ain't going to feel right. You know what feels right to you? Eating for morbid obesity. So something's going to have to give. Am I telling you that this is the only way to lose 100 pounds? No, by no means. But it's pretty straightforward. It will work. Do you want to do it? As far as the exercise with this, I want you to walk or do some form of exercise at least 30 minutes a day. Don't care what it is. You can walk 15 minutes in the morning. You can ride a bike 15 minutes at night. You can do yoga. You can do CrossFit. You can do jogging, but some exercise, as little as walking, is fine. And that's it. That's your plan. The likelihood that you're actually going to do this is rather low. The reason why is you probably need somewhat of a reboot of your mindset, because your current mindset got you where you are. I want to hear how it goes for you, because any of you that actually do this for 6 months, you're going to have a great story, and I want to hear about it. Hey, if this resonates with you, please like it and subscribe.
I like it. What's interesting is he motivates by telling you you can lose 100 pounds. Here's the actual process to do it, right? The carnivore diet motivates by showing people that have lost 60 or 70 pounds in a relatively quick amount of time, right? The vegans can say, hey, most people that are vegan and maintain it long term end up living 6 to 9 years longer than the rest of us. So, Jesse, how do you motivate us? I'll tell you how I motivate you. Go get your shoes. We're going to go for a walk.
Good morning, Venters. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your Tuesday. It's that happy day called Monday for me. So, no, I like my job. So, whether it's Monday or Saturday or Sunday, I enjoy all the days. My walk is kind of like a little 30 to 60 minute vacation for me. I don't think I've ever been on a walk that I didn't enjoy. I wanted you guys to think about something that I was thinking about yesterday and the day before, because I was like, maybe there's something to this, but probably not. This is just for fun, obviously. But you know how you'll be talking about cold medicine, or you'll be talking about, getting a new cell phone or something like that. And before you know it, you pick up your phone and you go on YouTube, and all of a sudden you're plastered with ads for cell phones or cold remedies. Or if you're looking for furniture, all of a sudden you've got furniture ads. And maybe you were talking about it and you're like, hey, I was talking about these items, and all of a sudden my phone pops these articles up for me to potentially buy. I think my phone is spying on me, right? We've all had this conversation. Let's take it a step further. You're not talking about cold medicine with the person next to you. You're not talking about shoes or gold or anything like that, but you're thinking about it. And all of a sudden it pops up on your phone. So now, instead of people thinking that the phone is spying on us, we start thinking, and I'm no different, I start thinking this too. I start thinking, oh my God, my phone can read my mind. And it's kind of trippy, right? Because it happens all the time. But there's one thing that nobody's talking about, which I find interesting. Some people, especially if you're real religious and stuff, some people might think that we're at the end of days. And when you're at the end of days, supposedly there's supposed to be clarity, and you're supposed to kind of find out who the real you is, right? And, God, how can I say this? Do you remember back in the day when we had the radio rather than satellite radio, and rather than Pandora and all these services, we just listened to the radio? And you would take your blank tape and you would get ready to record a song. And sometimes you would actually be singing a song in your head or thinking about it, and you would turn on the radio and that song would be playing. And you knew if you were trying to record that song and it was already halfway through, you knew you might as well give up at least for an hour or so, because that song wasn't going to play right away again, right? But I've had that many a times, and so have you, right? You're thinking about a song, you turn on the radio, and it's on. Next case in point, you call your friend Becky. You pick up the phone, and again, this is back in the day. You pick up the phone, it's not a cell phone. You pick up your phone, you call Becky, but before you even push a single button, she's already there on the line. Like the phone didn't even ring. We've all experienced that, right? Why am I bringing this up? Wouldn't it be crazy if instead your phone spying on you, we actually are experimenting a situation where our brains know what's going to happen? I know, sounds a little goofy, right? But think about this. How many times did you want to call your best friend or your family member? You pick up the phone and they're already there. They were calling you.
There was a communication that was happening in your guys' mind before you guys even picked up the phone, right? Something told Becky to call you. Something told you to call Becky. Something had you thinking about that song in your head. You turn on the radio and bam, there it is. Now fast forward. We no longer call Becky on the telephone where it's corded and stuck to your wall in your house. We now call Becky on the cell phone. But instead of calling her, 90% of the time we text, right? So you're not going to have these weird moments as much as we used to. Many of us listen to the radio, but many of us are kind of listening to CD. Well, I don't know if we're still listening to CDs, but we might be listening to satellite radio. In other words, we might be physically picking out our songs that we like and listening to those songs rather than random songs on the radio. But even to this day, if you are listening to random songs on the radio, there's probably a pretty decent chance that every once in a while you kind of predict the song that's popping up. But we used to do that all the time. Wouldn't that be crazy if when you're thinking about something and it pops up, it's not the phone spying on you, it's your brain doing some predictive analysis or looking into the future, so to speak. Now, more than likely, it's the phone spying on us, right? But I bet you guys never thought about that. And I was tripping out about it because it's like, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And I can remember over the last 20, 25 years, I can remember actually having conversations with people. You know, case in point, you're calling Becky. You pick up the phone to dial. She's already there. The phone didn't even ring. It was that instantaneous. And you tell Becky, God, I was thinking about you. I was just I was just picking up the phone to call you. And then she says the same thing on her end. What if you guys really were communicating to each other without the phone, without the cell phone, without being in the same room with each other? Tell me that's not interesting to think about, huh? God, I don't even know how I kind of came up with that, but I just remember that when I was younger, I would always pick up on songs right before they came on. I also got to a point when I was a kid where I could hear the first like half second or 2 seconds of a song, and then I would know which song was playing. Now, I've kind of lost that skill over the past couple years because I don't listen to the car stereo nearly as much as I used to, especially working from home. But that would be interesting, wouldn't it? What if our brains were very, very much connected? What if we were able to kind of do some predictions on a subconscious level? I don't think we were ever doing it on a conscious level, right? I don't think we could force a song to come on the radio by any means. But I just find that really interesting. My question for you is, did you ever experience that growing up? Were you ever calling a friend or family member and you picked up the phone and it didn't ring or anything and they were already there? They were calling you. I think that's happened to everybody. Is it a coincidence? Probably. But what if it isn't? That's kind of thought-provoking, isn't it? Your phone's not predicting anything. You're predicting the phone. God, that would be crazy. And what if a connection had to be made for that to happen? In other words, what if the reason that you tried calling Becky and she tried calling you is because there was a connection, a friendship, a kinship? Well, I hear people saying every day how much we like or love our phones, right? Oh, I love my iPhone. I wish those Android people would get their head out of their beep and go buy an iPhone. I've never in my life purchased a product and thought to myself, how come every Tom, Dick, and Harry doesn't purchase this product? But iPhone users are kind of that way, huh? They're like, how come you have an Android? And it's like, well, my Android costs like 1/10 of your iPhone, you know? That was the main reason. And it's crazy because every now and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should buy an iPhone so I can be like the cool people. And then you realize they're not that cool. It's just a phone, you know? The iPhone cafes in the mall are really interesting because a lot of times when you go to a mall, the mall is relatively empty, or at least a lot emptier than it used to be. But if you go by the iPhone cafe, that's the busiest store in every mall. That's becoming the new anchor store. Instead of a Sears or a JCPenney, just make sure you get an iPhone cafe in all of your stores. And then right by the iPhone, they ought to put it right by the food court, so that right after you stay for half hour, 45 minutes in there and you're getting your questions answered about your iPhone, you could go right out and, buy food. That food will make you a little sluggish, so that when you're going out the door, you'll notice more clothing, more items you could buy. There's got to be a strategy there, right? And if there is a strategy there, I'm sure somebody somewhere is already all on top of it. But yeah, I think the only way to keep them all open nowadays is you got to have some really cool stores that are really popular, because our traditional malls that we knew and grew up with and loved, they're kind of becoming ghost towns. I feel guilty when I say this, but I am guilty of this. Sometimes I'll go to the mall and I'll actually find that perfect product, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a pair of pants, whether it's a pair of shoes, whatever the case might be. But instead of buying it at the mall, I'll pull out my phone to see if it's cheaper online or something. So, even though I think we should get out and help people, I'm just as guilty as anybody else of leading us into the future. And if the future is one where we don't have malls or places where we can go, I think that's a little sad. Back in the day, we would meet our significant others in the job, or we would meet them when we went to the mall with friends, or we would meet them when we went out and about with people, right? Like to a club or, to a sporting event. That's how we would come across people, start conversations, and before you know it, you've got a significant other. Nowadays, it's kind of like online or bust. And from what I understand, because I don't really do the online dating thing, I do have the Facebook personals, where you can go on Facebook and see different people that are available potentially, and they can see you and stuff. So I have gone on that before, but I don't go on there religiously and stuff. I think I did for the first couple weeks because I thought, how neat is this, But I've kind of since stopped. But back to what I was saying, we used to meet people in these different places, and now it's just not really like that anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it still happens, right, where you meet people by chance. But it used to be a more romantic world. I used to have a dream that I would be, not a dream, but I used to have thoughts that, maybe I would go into a bookstore and you're looking at a book and you look over to the other side of the room and, maybe the woman of your dreams is there. Maybe you'll meet Mr. Right. And nowadays, that's probably becoming more and more challenging, more and more difficult. Because even if you did look across the room and see Mrs. Right, it's almost like it's taboo to even talk to people that way, But again, I'm sure it still happens. If you met your significant other within the past couple years, and you met him in person some way, somehow, maybe you could share your thoughts on this. If you try to hit on a coworker now, it's much, much different than it was in the past. In the past, you had to deal with rejection and, maybe even embarrassment, right? Now you have to deal with rejection, embarrassment, and potentially, a harassment charge. That's not good, right? So things have changed in that regard. If I wouldn't have met my daughter's mom at work or my son's mom at work, I wouldn't have any kids nowadays, The best place to meet somebody that I've been told by people is on a cruise. I think that would be the worst place to meet somebody. What are you going to do, start a long distance relationship? I was always taught growing up that the best place to meet somebody is at church, but from what I understand, I guess not very many people are going to church anymore. It's really interesting though, because when I drive around or look around on Sunday and I drive by churches, they still seem packed. Or at least some of them do, the big ones do. I don't really drive by too many small ones. I'm a little perplexed, but you want to know something? Maybe that's why they say people aren't dating. I saw a chart the other day, or it was a couple months back, that like 1 out of every 3 guys isn't even dating. They've never had sex. They're kind of sexless and lonely. And if they're sexless and lonely on purpose, right? Like they're not interested in, dating or whatever. That's one thing, but I bet many of them are. And even though it might be easier for women to do online dating than guys, I bet there's still a significant number of women that struggle with the dating scene as well. In the past, when you would meet somebody in person, let's say you were on a blind date with them, right? Your first impression, the first couple of minutes might be, oh my God, what am I doing here? But if you were with them for 45 minutes or an hour, or maybe it was a little movie situation where you're with them for a couple hours, sometimes people grow on you, right? Sometimes you say, God, it wasn't love at first sight, but I don't know, John kind of grew on me. Becky kind of grew on me. A lot of couples, if you ask them, was it love at first sight? They'll say no. But after a while, it became love at second sight, so to speak, And when you were dating in person, when you were meeting people out in public, you could see that, oh my God, John likes used books too. He loves the bookstore. So you knew automatically, me and John might have something in common, or me and Becky might have something in common. Now, John has a fake profile, and your profile is a little iffy, right? And now we're trying to show people these magical things about ourselves. And oh, by the way, we're ignoring all the negative stuff. So in person, you can kind of see that, oh my God, this person's really opinionated, or this person's really out there. And back in the day, you would find that out as well, but you would be able to kind of take it a step further and say, oh, okay, they're this way, but I see how they've become this way. Okay, John or Becky told me their story. Now everything kind of makes sense. Online, when you meet somebody in a chat, situation, it doesn't always work out that way. Nobody wants to tell you, oh, I just had my 5th divorce, Hey, I, just broke up with my 3rd boyfriend this year. Nobody really wants to hear that, And, I just find that super duper interesting. I put up a video yesterday, and it was really interesting. YouTube's super interesting when you're kind of brand new to uploading. So the video I put out was this vegetarian versus meat eater video. I'm sure some of you guys saw it. And it was a young lady that was describing how her parents had her grow up vegetarian. She started watching some Netflix specials and became vegan, because those Netflix specials are sometimes produced very well, right? And so she became vegan. As she got older, some people started talking with her about, hey, maybe your diet's missing some nutrients. Why don't you try to add some meat? And so she was kind of struggling with the idea of adding meat and stuff. At least on this video. She might have had some more up-to-date videos that I'll probably look at to see if she did end up making the conversion or going back to vegetarianism. But what was weird about it was for the first 3, 4, 5 hours, it was 10 out of 10. What's 10 out of 10? Well, for your last 10 uploads, when you upload a new video, it tells you the pace that it's on. And this was a 10 out of 10, which means it was like the bottom of the barrel video for me. And all of a sudden, I don't know what caused me to look at it again, but 10 o'clock in the evening, I look at the performance on this video again. It went from 10 out of 10 to 1 out of 10. And I looked on this morning, I looked it up again, and all of a sudden, it's like my #1 video for the past, month. So very interesting what makes people click things. I was told before I started my YouTube channel that the title and the thumbnail are super important. And maybe that's true, you know. But one of the things that I do on my thumbnail is I try to make a second title, so to speak, right? So I have my title, and then on my thumbnail, I usually try to put 3 or 4 words together that, you know, kind of give a person an idea of what they might be seeing on the video. And so I feel like I'm cheating there, but at the same time, you know, I'm sure there's some people that'll say, that's not the best thumbnail, blah, 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 but I don't know. I've completed a month of being a YouTuber, and I thought, honestly, I would get, this is no joke, I thought I would get over the course of a year about 1,000 views, and I thought I would maybe get 12 to 24 subscribers. And I'm really proud of myself because I just said, you know what, I'm going to give it a year regardless. It's not that big of a deal to hold this camera, although it's 30 pounds. If you could subscribe, it'll make this camera feel lighter. But yeah, I didn't have high expectations. I knew that doing a walking channel might not be everybody's, you know, vibe, so to speak. But at the same time, it's really changed my life. I really love walking, and I figure if I can get even 1 or 2 people to start walking, maybe they would enjoy it as much as I do. I have a lot of subscribers that tell me they're doing this walk with me, and I think they enjoy it, but I'm not sure. If you yourself are a daily walker and you love your walk and you couldn't imagine life without it, maybe share that with us in the comments, you know? Are you still using your job and your family members as an excuse not to work out? Because if you want to use it as an excuse to not pay money on a gym membership, I'm understanding of that. But my thinking is, if you go to work at 7:30 in the morning, get out your door at 7 and go on a quick 20 or 30 minute walk. I just can't imagine life without it. Now, I don't always walk before work. This is kind of strategic because I knew it was going to get hot and warm. But during the hot and summer months, a lot of times I will wake up early to get my walk in, because sometimes in the afternoon in Arizona, it's impossible. By the way, let's talk safety real quick. The weather's been super nice over the past couple months, right? If it's a little cold, you can put on a jacket. But if it's super duper hot, it's kind of hard to get relief from that. So if you do walk when it's getting hot, make sure that you bring a bottle of water with you. Or if you don't want to carry a bottle of water, drink a bottle of water before your walk. That way you're plenty hydrated, okay? And if you are walking in a state like Arizona, where it does get up to 115 in the summer, you know, you might want to be careful. Test yourself. If you feel like you're getting faint when you're on your walks and stuff, you know, maybe take shorter paths so that if there's ever a situation where you're not feeling too good, you know, maybe you're close to home. Last thing we want is for people to be getting heat stroke. And every year that we get older, you know, the sun might affect you a little bit differently than it did the previous years. So even with me, when I start walking in the hottest part of the summer, I might just have to find a way to walk in a mall or something. God, it's going to be awkward holding this camera as I walk around the mall with you guys, but, you know, if that's what it has to be, then that's the route we'll go. Those will definitely be afternoon, though. I don't think the mall opens at 7:30. Are you being proactive in your plan? The only thing that can slow down your plan is if you stop. And if you're not going to use your job or your family as an excuse to stop, well, I don't want you to use the weather either. So what do we do, Jesse? Well, one thing we don't want to do is wait till the weather gets super duper hot and then react to it. What we'd like to do is be proactive, make a plan. If your plan is like mine, where, hey, instead of walking at 2 in the afternoon, I'm going to be walking at 6 or 7 in the morning before the sun gets too hot, that sounds like a good plan. If your plan is to take advantage of your gym membership and go, walk on a treadmill during the hottest months of the year, again, I think that's a great plan. Would I rather you be outside, breathing fresh air Sure, but if it's miserable, being miserable are the things that make you quit working out. I don't want you to quit, especially if we've got you used to walking. Can I walk in my house, Chechi? Yeah, I suppose you could, and I will too if I absolutely need to. I just don't know if lifting your feet up and down is as productive as moving forward, you know? But after watching the video with everybodywalks.org, I don't know, I feel pretty pumped about the idea that I've been walking for a long time. It sounds like the longer you walk, the better your outlook looks on your future health. So again, if you haven't seen that video, check out that video on the extreme advantages of walking, which is the video you should be watching today. You'll be watching this video tomorrow. But anyway, I really love the video that you're going to be watching today, which is the advantages of walking. I'll tell you another advantage that I never thought about walking. I've met a lot of really cool people. A lot of my subscribers talk to me every day. Elaine says good morning. Mala says good morning. Terry from Utah always talks to me. Lily is my trivia buff person. We like to go over the trivia questions together. We got the Texas girlie. Forget the rest of her name, but it's like Texas girl. Welcome to the channel. I am ready to get started for my work day, and you probably are too. So I just want to say thank you for tuning in. You have a wonderful, beautiful day, and we'll talk to you soon.